Here we go!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our break. Still talking NXT with my brother, JP Phillips. The current state of the brand, where the product was, where it's going, our opinions. So we are doing some predictions, we are talking. Last episode was November 4th. We saw Dakota Kai pick up a win against Ember Moon. Later in the episode, we saw Xia Li ask William Regal for a match against Raquel Gonzalez. I didn't really care for this match, the Dakota Kai Ember Moon match, and I don't know where they're going with this, because Ember Moon losing right now is not good for Ember Moon if she wants a title shot. Maybe they're looking to have some kind of crazy scramble match with like 4 or 5 women challenging for the championship, but I doubt it. I'll get to that later. It makes me think, the way they're building it, that maybe Ember Moon tags with Xia Li and faces Kai and Gonzalez. I don't really know what to make of that. And this Xia Li, Raquel Gonzalez angle, not really doing it for me either. Then we saw Kushida pick up a win against Cameron Grimes. The reason, other than Kushida, flipping the script and turning over a new leaf and bringing the physicality to his opponents, was that Cameron Grimes was still shook up from the match he had with Dexter Lumis. And you could see it from the moment he came out in his entrance throughout the whole match. And then there was a ref spot where the ref went down and another ref came in. And of course it was the zombie ref, but he wasn't dressed up as a zombie. He was just his normal self. But Grimes, being so, mentally disturbed from the Loomis match with the Haunted House of Terror or whatever they called it, associated that ref with the zombie ref from that match and then freaked out. Kushida then hit his finish. Whatever. Who cares, right? Prior to that, Kushida had been wrapped up with Velveteen Dream and Tommaso Ciampa, and Grimes had his match with Lumis, so I'm wondering what they're doing with those guys. We'll talk later about Tommaso Ciampa and his future. Velveteen Dream's definitely on the downward slope, so I don't see them really doing anything with him, besides him getting the shit kicked out of him every week and putting people over. Lumis, one week he's there, the next week he's not. One week he's injured, the next week he's not. You know what I mean? I don't know where they're going with that. Obviously, I'll rephrase. They're going somewhere with this Grimes-Lumis matchup because they're dragging that out where he's still affected by the match. So I think they're still trying to do the Grimes-Lumis matchup. Kushida-Ciampa, maybe? I'm not really a fan of that, but whatever.
I mean, I would think Lumis and Grimes would have to have a match now after having that little post
yeah, a real match.
thing.
Like, Grimes is definitely campaigning that he did not lose because there was no decision. He just, passed out, and that was that.
And they can have a real match, that's fine.
I'll put you on the hot seat. I like to put my guests on the hot seat, so I'm going to do that with you. Regular match. Who wins? Loomis, Grimes. Go.
If it was clean, I'd say Lumis. If it's not clean, it's Grimes. I think Grimes not winning not clean develops the story further. I'm not really sure what clean Lumis win does for anything or anyone, unless they're just going to end it there. But I know they like Cameron Grimes, and I know they like Dexter Lumis, so, who knows? But both of them are so weird that, I wouldn't be surprised if we got something insane, you know what I mean?
What would you do?
Who would I have win, or
How would you do it? Who would you have win? How would they win? What would you do?
I think these two guys are good together, so personally I would like to see them on a longer storyline. So I think what you'd want to do is, maybe trade back and forth some wins for now, since we're at the early stages of it. Have Grimes win a real match, have Lumis, come back for revenge or whatever, terrorize him for a while. You can have Grimes face some other people with Lumis popping up here and there. That's the thing about Lumis, you don't need him to be in the ring having a match for him to be effective with his character.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. Next we saw Fluffy Fury, the Fluffy and the Fury. I don't know what the tag team name is, but that's what we're working with.
What's this name? What? Hold on, what?
The Fluffy and the Fury, which is
Yeah,
Killian Dane and Drake Maverick versus Everrise, and in no contest. Thank God, right? Obviously, Dane and Maverick were poised to win that, because what does a win do for Everrise? I don't even know their names, to be quite honest with you.
Everrise is the 90s tag team that you wish they would stop putting on TV.
Yeah, they're very boring.
They're so throwback.
Too indie for me to be featured on an NXT show. It ended in no contest because your favorite stable, the Kings of NXT, came out and beat the shit out of everybody. That ended that match. And then McAfee ran his mouth and they teased hanging the undisputed banner up in the rafters. And before they did that, they changed their minds and then threw it in a trash can and burned it. And then McAfee said something that stood out to me, and I want to know what you think. And this is why it stood out to me. He's been talking a lot of shit about the size of Adam Cole and the small frames and the, you know what I mean? How he's like, oh, you're always going to be a little bitch and this and that. And the same goes for his tag team partners and stable members. He's been saying that the Undisputed Era is too small. And, you know, I did my homework. I always do my homework. Every single person, JP, is the same height. McAfee has 1 inch. I Googled it. I Googled everybody.
McAfee's that small?
McAfee's listed as 6'1", okay?
How tall is Adam Cole?
Adam Cole's listed at 6'1", but he gets made fun of a lot because people are on the side of the fence that think they gave him a couple inches. And I buy that.
I saw the picture he took with you. He's 5'8".
Okay. So he's billed at 6 feet. Oney Lorcan, billed at 6 feet. Danny Burch is billed at 6 feet as well. O'Reilly, 6 feet. Roddy Strong and Bobby Fish, 5'10", 5'11". So when McAfee says you guys are too small, this and that and the third, I get it to an extent. You come from the NFL. You're always around big dudes. You're a big dude for a 6'1" punter. But you want to talk size, like, at least back it up. You got 1 inch on some of these dudes. If that.
I would say... I disagree with McAfee running his mouth about stuff that, you know, like you're saying, it doesn't add up. It's not like it's Keith Lee running around out here saying this, but you have to ask yourself the question, though. If these guys weren't so small, wouldn't they be up already?
That's a fair argument to make.
Because I'm sorry, but Undisputed Era is one of the best things that the entire WWE has going for it. One of the most popular factions, arguably since The Shield, and they're still down there. It's been a long time. A lot of guys have been coming and gone and gone back. You know, so, you know, and that's part of like what I try to project with some of these NXT stars. You know, where do they fit in the main roster? And some guys just don't because of their size. They can hide it and they can get away with it in NXT, but like we saw with Finn Balor, you come up to the main roster.
Eventually it catches up to you.
It's a different ballgame up at the main roster.
You can only hide it for so long.
You can't hide.
You can only hide it for so long.
Ricochet is the best example of that.
And then you fall into obscurity.
Not that I think Ricochet shouldn't be up, but if he was still down, he'd be,
oh, man,
you know, right there with Finn Balor going for the title.
Oh, man, yeah.
As opposed to being a forgotten member of the former alliance between Apollo Crews, Cedric Alexander, and Mustafa Ali.
I did not care for that at all. Redirecting, after they did what they did and beat the shit out of everybody and then defaced the Undisputed banner and burned it and threw it in the trash and da-da-da, they went out, the cameras followed them outside to the parking lot, and Killian Dane was able to get up, dust himself off, and then go attack them out in the parking lot 4-on-1. They beat the shit out of him in the parking lot. McAfee wasn't involved in that scrap. It was the 3 other guys, Burch, Lorcan, and Dunn, that beat the shit out of Killian Dane, and I think the way they're heading is that Dane's going to be pissed when he finds out that Drake Maverick didn't come help him out. But I don't know why they did that, but it is what it is. Okay, moving on. We had another episode of Thatch's Thatch Can wrestling class where Thatcher was getting a little too greedy with some of his submission holds on another student, a different student. And then we saw the debut of August Gray, formerly known as Anthony Green. Retro Anthony Green. I'm wearing his hat right now.
Where's he from?
You saw him on Evolve when they did Evolve. It was him versus Josh Briggs. He's from Chaotic Wrestling.
He wasn't part of AEW at any point, was he?
No.
I think I had somebody else then. I know the name, I can't picture the face.
He debuted on 205 Live against some other guy, Kurt Stallion, and Arya Daivari had like some match on 205 Live where Anthony Green debuted as himself, and then the next thing you know, he's on NXT with Timothy Thatcher as Anthony Green, and then they change his name to August Gray. I don't think that's gonna stick very long, but shout out to Anthony Green, August Gray. I've met him personally, shook hands with him, he's a great dude. So I have high hopes, but I don't know where they're going with this Timothy Thatcher, August Gray thing. Hope for the best. Okay, then we saw Shotzi Blackheart lose to Toni Storm, where she was distracted because Candice LeRae ran her tank over. Something you may not know is that Shotzi Blackheart has gotten a lot of backlash from outsiders in the wrestling community for driving down the entranceway to the ring in a tank, because they don't believe it. They don't think it's believable.
It's a Hot Wheels mobile.
They always talk about like, oh, the tank only goes 5 miles an hour. Where do you get the gas? You know, how does she get around when, you know what I mean? So anything they could say negative about her tank entrance, they have said it. Trust me when I say that.
I don't like it.
I liked it.
I don't like it.
I liked it because it was different.
I don't mind if you do it once, but don't do it every time.
It reminded me of like a Eddie Guerrero, you know.
Yeah, but I feel like it's such a cheap.
Yeah, it kind of fits her character though. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna
she's
do.
going for.
Well, they said on the air that it was an homage to her cousin that was in the military. I don't know what they're gonna do going forward. Whether or not she dumps the tank or keeps it, gets a new one, whatever. So she lost to Toni Storm because she got distracted when Candice LeRae ran her tank over. And in the backseat of Candice LeRae's vehicle, SUV, was a masked person who I think they want us to believe is the same masked person that helped out Gargano at Halloween Havoc, the same masked person that helped out LeRae in the main event at Halloween Havoc, and the same masked person that was in the promo with Gargano the episode after Halloween Havoc. But I tend to think differently, and this is why, and let me know what you think. There's another person that kind of just disappeared who we haven't seen or heard about and had recently been at the Gargano residence.
That was her name. Damn it.
Lady Kane. Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox.
So, because I think Theory's helping out Gargano, I think he's too busy to be two places at once or whatever. I'm going to go on a limb and say, with another bold prediction, this one being bolder than the first, that's Tegan Knox that's helping out Candice LeRae. What do you think?
I just don't know what incentive.
Yeah, because she's been babyface and she's been losing, and she's going to buy into the Gargano way and go heel. That's why.
Yeah, I guess.
Why not? When you're her and
yeah,
you're going nowhere.
You got nothing else to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, main event. Ciampa defeats Velveteen Dream via pinfall, and the one takeaway I had from it was, so what? Because what does it do? And we'll talk about, I need your opinion on this. This is a big one. What does that win do for Ciampa? He's not on Halloween Havoc. He's not on TakeOver 31. I don't know if he was on TakeOver 30. Was he in that ladder match? I don't even know where he was on TakeOver 30. I don't think he was. I don't think he was on TakeOver 30, right? Because didn't Karrion Kross beat the shit out of him?
Wasn't that the next night?
No, because he had to relinquish his championship after 30.
I like Karrion Kross. I missed it. Him getting hurt was a huge blow.
Yeah. Edge. You could throw Edge into that conversation too, the timing of the injury. But all I know is Kross beat the shit out of Ciampa. He disappeared for a while, came back, took out his frustrations on Jake Atlas, right? Had a match with Kushida, lost to Kushida, beat Dream. Dream's been getting beat by everyone. Makes sense to bury Dream right now. Makes sense to bury Austin Theory right now. They're doing a little bit of it to Matt Riddle on the main roster. Makes sense right now. Can't last forever.
You see how it's not Matt Riddle anymore?
Yes.
It's just Riddle?
Yes. I just don't understand. Like, what's another win in a main event episode of NXT do for Tommaso Ciampa? What does it do? What is he doing?
I don't know. It feels like they're just kind of stalling until they can get him back in the title picture.
And on the other side of the coin, what does another loss do for Velveteen Dream? It didn't do anything for me. I mean, it's nice to see Ciampa win, but...
The only thing I think is that they're stalling. They're just trying to keep his wins up, kind of stalling him out, so that way they can get him back into the main event, storyline, and keep him winning while he's not.
Pardon me while I yawn. Boring. 2 quick questions to ask you before we get into our predictions for TakeOver 32. And that would be this. You haven't watched yet, but when you do watch, you will not see Damian Priest, MIA, from this week's taping of NXT, following the dropping the title, the North American Championship, to Johnny Gargano. I am going to speculate that he's out with an injury, whether it's a real injury or a fake injury, I don't know. What I want to know from you is what's next for Damian Priest, in your opinion? Who does he face? When does he face him? Where does he face him? What's next for Damian Priest?
Alright, I got 2 scenarios. One's what I think is happening, and one is kind of Fantasyland. Which one do you want first?
I love both. I don't care.
Alright.
Give me what you really think is going to happen.
Let's go with the real one.
Yeah.
What I think is happening is that I think they're giving him a little bit of time off. He's been carrying this company on his back for a long time now. He's been week in and week out pretty much on the show. He's been taking a beating. His body's taking a beating. He's a bigger guy, so he's got to, those guys, unfortunately, take a bigger beating than some of the littler guys as far as, having the longer recovery time, blah, blah, blah. Again, they're giving him some time off to just kind of recoup a little bit before diving back into, let's say, an NXT title picture with Finn Balor or whatever. The fantasy Fantasyland option is that they had him drop the belt, and they're going to bring him up to Raw and have him be on the team and debut
Survivor
him
Series.
it might not be Raw, it might be SmackDown, but either way, that's Fantasyland scenario where that's at least it's on the table.
You think he'd be the 5th member of Raw, or one of the members of SmackDown, or would he like replace somebody?
I don't know if that necessarily even matters. I think,
It doesn't matter.
know if that even, I just feel like, he doesn't remind me of The Undertaker, but he reminds me of The Undertaker enough with just the way his body is. Like, he's a big guy that's athletic and can do anything, and he reminds me of a very, very young Undertaker. Obviously not his character, but just like his athleticism and his body of work.
Okay.
And, that's a guy that could be called up at a time like that. Who knows? There's no rule that says they can't call him up.
So you really think he's going to go in a...
No, I don't.
No. You really think he's going to go against Balor for the NXT Championship, but in your fantasy world, you want him called up to the main roster for Survivor Series?
It's not that I want him to be called up, because I
just
don't
see
think
that happen.
he's ready yet, but I think those are the two scenarios, besides him being hurt, is that they're just giving him a few minutes to collect himself.
I don't know if he's hurt or not. It just makes sense because he took a nasty spill in that match.
I mean, it could just be a week off to get right.
Yeah, and make people question, like, where is he, what's he doing, I would have liked to get an update, like, oh, look, medical update on Priest. Here he is in the trainer room.
And you never know.
Survivor Series, again. All right, last question before the NXT TakeOver 32 predictions. Finn Balor's status up in the air. I mean, we saw Halloween Havoc go off with a main event with the Women's Championship. Gotta believe if he was healthy, that it would have been him in the main event of Halloween Havoc facing somebody, maybe a rematch with Kyle O'Reilly or another member of Undisputed Era. Given his status of having he broke his jaw! They broke his jaw! They broke his jaw, he had surgery. Now, what they're doing right now, William Regal and the powers that be at NXT, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, they're giving him time, okay?
They're stalling.
They're giving him time to either, recuperate and defend, or, they're going to reassess the situation with the NXT Championship. What do you think happens, and why? Does he get to keep it, in your opinion, or do you strip him and make somebody, you know what I mean?
I think if it wasn't Finn Balor, it would have already been stripped.
Really?
The guy's got a fracture in his jaw. They could be out for months. But Finn Balor, if this hadn't already, I shouldn't say that. If this hadn't already happened in the almost exact same way with Finn Balor with the Universal title, I think things would be a lot different.
They better hurry up and figure something out because it's not gotten me to my boiling point yet, but it's getting there.
I think they feel bad for Finn Balor.
Well,
because it's obviously not under his control, and it's happened to him a couple times now.
Alright, it's put up or shut up time, You put your championship title on someone, they gotta defend it. I'm gonna need an answer soon out of somebody as to what they're gonna do with Finn Balor.
What is he been up for now?
Since TakeOver 31, which was October 4th, so we're going on a month. And this is what I'm wondering. Does he have a role at TakeOver 32? And if he does, what's his role? Keep in mind, this is a month away. This is December 6th.
When they were doing the whole Ridge Holland thing, and somebody's taken out Undisputed. And
that was done so poorly. Him and O'Reilly had just gotten to this huge match and kicked the shit out of each other, and now they're all buddy-buddy. Like, I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? No, F that.
My immediate thought was Ridge Holland and
that Balor was in cahoots?
I thought that Finn Balor, Ridge Holland
I thought so
had
too.
done the deed of Finn Balor.
I thought so too.
And so now, if you hadn't already tipped your hand and played the McAfee angle, you could
leave that up in the air
on TV with the title as the puppet master.
Yeah.
And buy your time that way.
You could still even feature Ridge Holland as a manager of Balor once he gets the ability to put some weight on that leg and come out with a boot or some crutches.
Once he can walk and eat again, yeah.
Alright, so that's what I want to know. We have NXT TakeOver 32 coming up on December 6th. So, that's obviously up in the air, but that's what they have. Alright, so hopefully that happens. And what I think they have brewing is, in no particular order, and I want to know what your opinion is of each one, is it seems to me like they're going to do either a 3-on-3, a 2-on-2, or maybe even something crazy like a 4-on-4 with the Undisputed Era and the Kings of NXT. So I was thinking the easiest one would be to have Birch and Lorcan face Strong and Fish, right?
Strong Fish.
Yeah, Strong Fish. Then you could even say, you could make the argument and say O'Reilly, especially with Balor out of the picture, you could go O'Reilly, Fish, Strong versus Lorcan, Birch, and Dunn. And then if you want to get real crazy, you could say all 4 guys versus all 4 guys. You could even say Adam Cole. I mean, if Finn Balor's active and O'Reilly's, got the thing going with Balor, you could put Adam Cole in that mix with Fish and Strong and face the other 3. But I want to know what you think about Undisputed Era and the way they're certainly angling things with the Kings of NXT.
I think the Kings of NXT need a new name, even if they want to call themselves like the KON. I don't need anything but that. And then
I disagree with
I think it's
KON.
extremely discorraging that NXT is not being featured in Survivor Series this year.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that.
I think that for them to have to kind of come up with their own Survivor Series-esque thing like you're talking about here is very disappointing.
Well, that could be what they ultimately go for, that 4-on-4 elimination, 3-on-3 elimination.
Kind of having to get creative with their own Survivor Series type thing.
They could even do something stupid with pairing Undisputed with Breezango and Kings of NXT with somebody else. Okay, moving on. They certainly are building a Candice LeRae versus Shotzi Blackheart angle. I don't care for that, but like I said earlier, the involvement of Tegan Nox seems to be looming.
Still doesn't do it for me, though.
No, it doesn't. But here's how I see it going down, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. Blackheart appears to seal the deal. Nox intervenes in the mask. Blackheart reveals Nox. LeRae wins.
I mean, that's fine. Don't know where it's going to go. Don't know what it does, but whatever.
This one's even worse, if you can imagine. Seems like they're doing a Fluffy Fury, which is, again, Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, versus a Legado del Fantasma matchup.
Okay. The only thing I can think of is that's just another sacrificial lamb for Legado de Fantasma to beat, to put another notch under their belts. Because the only other possibility is that Drake Maverick becomes the Cruiserweight champion or something like that.
Man, that would
Killian Danes is like his protector. Like, I don't know what
that would suck so bad.
Like, what is that?
That would be terrible.
I mean, I don't care if they want to do Dane and Maverick. I'm fine with it. It's weird and it's different, and like both guys were lost, and at least they're on TV now.
Yeah, gives them something to do.
Can we not call him Furry and whatever?
Fluffy Fury. The Fluffy and the Fury.
Dane and Drake is fine.
Whatever works. Anything better than Fluffy Fury. Okay, seems like they're building up a rematch of Grimes and Loomis, so I feel like that's going to happen on TakeOver. I could see Grimes winning. Again, probably not clean. Don't know how they would do it. I know Velveteen Dream has helped out Dexter Loomis in the past, and Loomis has helped out Velveteen Dream. I wonder if, because, he's fallen off the face of the earth, I wonder if he's involved in the match somehow. Maybe accidentally distracts Loomis trying to help him. Grimes hits the cave-in. I don't know. I just think Grimes wins that rematch. And then, okay, what I was thinking for Johnny TakeOver, he's been on like 20 straight takeovers or something ridiculous. So he's going to be on this one. He's the North American champion, so he's going to have to defend his title, because especially with Balor out, like they're definitely going to involve the North American championship somehow, some way. And I was thinking for opponents, either Bronson Reed or Kushida. I think it would make more sense to do Gargano Kushida, but I could also see them doing Gargano versus Bronson Reed. Care to take a stance on that?
I think that Bronson Reed has kind of come up and been passed over already, unfortunately for him. I'm not sure if he's going to get another shot, to be honest with you. I don't know if he deserves it either, but I don't know what to say about that. Now, Kushida, I can't imagine anyone else facing Gargano for that title because of the way he's been pushed. He's in this weird situation where he's a face, but he's acting heel, right? He's not a heel.
I don't like it. I would rather him just pick a side.
Would you say he's a heel or would you say he's a face?
He's a face, but
he's acting like a heel.
Yeah, he's a face that's acting like a heel, and eventually he's going to have to decide what side of the fence he's on, because you can't...
If they don't put Kushida against Gargano for the North American Championship, then I'm not sure what this was all for.
Right.
But at the same time, what's the pathway to get Kushida to Gargano?
But they do have about 3 to 4 weeks to somehow link the two together, and maybe... You know what it would be for me? I would would just say, hey, I beat Ciampa, so I'll have no problem beating you. I want you now. I beat your buddy Ciampa.
I have no problem with that match on a Wednesday night, but I don't think Kushida Gargano does it for me at TakeOver.
Well, they're gonna have to do something. And
now, if you get Kushida in a triple threat with Gargano and Ciampa, as much as I don't want to see that, I'd be okay with it.
It's better than another Gargano Ciampa. I thought about what those two would be doing for TakeOver 32, and I knew Gargano was going to be involved because he's Johnny TakeOver and he's the North American champion. And I want Ciampa involved, but I don't know where you put him, and that might make sense to put him in a triple threat.
I just feel like I just have a hard time seeing them doing anything with Gargano Ciampa together.
Right, and the reason I picked Reed was because the last person to send Austin Aries packing, and I put that in quotes, air quotes, the reason it would make sense to do Gargano Reed is you could have Austin Theory get involved, and right when Reed looks like he's gonna hit that splash from the top, you have the masked man come out, pull his leg, or give him a low blow, or whatever, push him off, and Gargano pins him.
It also depends too, is if they want to have Gargano drop the belt, because if they want to have him retain, and have retain this one,
Reed,
at least for now,
and then if he,
at least get one challenge under his belt, then it is Bronson Reed, because he's a guy that Gargano can beat, and nobody loses their mind.
Right. I think they addressed that where Gargano even said it himself. Everyone expects him to immediately drop this North American Championship on his first defense, but we'll see what they do with that. And then I had some fantasy matches that I wanted to pitch to you because I got to pitch them to somebody. Is anyone listening?
Is there anyone out there?
I would pop for this fatal four-way for the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley versus Ember Moon versus Toni Storm, and here's why. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not would you? Why the fuck not would you take all four of them and say, all right, Io Shirai, we're gonna. They're definitely what they're gonna do is do Shirai Ripley, and how they're gonna execute it, I don't know. I don't think you have Shirai lose to Ripley. I think somehow Shirai beats Ripley and continues her reign. I don't know how Io Shirai would ever rebound from losing to Ripley cleanly and losing her championship and then putting the NXT championship back on Rhea Ripley. I don't think that makes sense for her right now, And the reason it doesn't make sense for Rhea Ripley right now is because of what you said earlier. Survivor Series. Last year, NXT dominated. This year, they're not even involved, right? So to put the title back on Ripley around Survivor Series time just wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense to me. And then,
it's too bad they're not involved too, because last year was so much fun.
You put Ember Moon and Storm in that match. Like, Ember Moon came back to NXT talking about I deserve a title shot, blah, 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 blah. And then Toni Storm has worked with Rhea Ripley in the past. They've torn the house down with NXT UK title matches. So I think you just put all four of them in a fatal four-way for Io's championship, and you have Io retain. Do whatever you want with Ripley after that. Call her up, hopefully. And then Storm and Ember Moon can have a feud. Who cares, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that a loss for Storm matters right now. I don't think it's a loss for Moon in that big of a match would matter. Yeah. The only one that I think might matter for is Ripley.
Right. So she wouldn't be involved in that pinfall. I would think you would have
which is the way
Ember
you
Moon.
get around.
You probably would have Ember Moon get pinned by Shirai as like a wake-up call, like welcome back to NXT. You know what I mean? She can get back from that. Okay, Cruiserweight Championship. I would pop for this and this only, and I wouldn't really go nuts for it, but it would be my way of getting that championship back to some sort of relevancy. Would be to have Jordan Devlin come back. They've done it with Sami Zayn. They bring Pete Dunne back. What's stopping Jordan Devlin from coming back with his Cruiserweight Championship and saying, hey, Santos Escobar, Pierre Escargot,
I never lost his title.
this is mine, that's not yours, let's duke it out for who's the real Cruiserweight champ. Maybe that will put that thing back on the map, and I would definitely have Devlin beat the shit out of Escobar.
Well, you might have to wait a while for that, because I'm not sure where Devlin is at the moment, but the United Kingdom has just started, as of today, a brand new 1-month lockdown period for coronavirus, so you may not see any of these guys coming out anywhere for a long time.
That screws my last one, which would have been awesome to watch. Timothy Thatcher versus Walter for the UK Championship.
We won't see Walter for a long time.
That just puts a foil in my plans.
Now, the only way around that is if he was to have already come here in the little, there was some time available, like you said, like Pete Dunne was able to come. So unless he already came, maybe, and they said hiding somewhere.
I guess we'll never know, right?
If these guys are still over there, they're probably not coming back
They're most likely still over there, but that's why I said fantasy, because we never know. And Thatcher versus Walter for the UK Championship. I think that would really do well for the NXT brand to have Walter come over with his championship. Hopefully they've had him come already. I'd like to see Devlin and Walter over here somehow. Alright, do you have anything you'd like to add to the NXT TakeOver 32 that's happening on December 6th? Do you have anything you want to see happen or anything at all?
I mean, I like TakeOver. It's exciting and it delivers every single time. I don't know if I've seen a bad TakeOver yet, and it just says a lot for NXT and for Triple H and for the talent mostly, because these guys, you can see the passion and you can see the drive, and just every punch is life and death, and it's refreshing to see sometimes after sitting through long, battleground type pay-per-views with WWE main roster.
Backlash.
Where you come out of it going, why am I even a wrestling fan? And, you come out of TakeOver going, yeah, this is what it's all about. And, that's kind of the experience I've had since my first TakeOver, when I saw, I don't know if it was my first, but when I saw Shinsuke Nakamura take on Sami Zayn in one of the first TakeOver matches I've ever seen, that was the feeling I got, and that's the feeling I continue to get watching TakeOver time after time, is that, it's just awesome.
I hate to be that guy and make this comparison, so shoot me down if I'm wrong, but it's almost comparable to watching March Madness or NCAA basketball Division I versus the NBA at times, like the NBA regular season.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you recognize the talent is in the NBA. You recognize the guys in the NBA, just like the guys on the main roster, are the best at doing what they do, or else they wouldn't be there. But there's just something different for that, for that lower level, because of the desperation of them trying to get over, trying to advance their career, that can't be replicated by someone who's not trying to do that. And, that's what comes out in these TakeOver matches, just like it comes out in March Madness. It's where you see these guys, it's kind of like how you watch March Madness. You see Steph Curry before he was known to the world as Steph Curry. You see the beginnings of the greatness that these guys are going to have.
Okay. Introducing one of my favorite segments, to one that I like to call, and you can join in with me if you'd like. Sleepers! Sleeper picks. And I have one. I want to know if you have one or two, if you agree with me, if you don't. My NXT sleeper pick, and I don't think you're going to agree with me, but bear with me. What kind of bear? Black bear. Joaquin Wilde. Okay, hold your horses.
Are we talking about Legado de Fantasma?
Yes, and the reason I chose him is not for that. It's not for the allegiance to Santos Escobar and Raul Mendoza. I could be wrong. I don't know where that whole faction tag team trio is going. The reason I chose him was that he breaks away from them at some point and starts a singles run. This guy is talented. A lot of people are sleeping on him. I think you're one of those people, just based on judging from your reaction when I mentioned him. I have seen him for a long time compete and perform. Way back when he was on TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, which is now Impact Wrestling. He was billed then as DJ Zima. He used to come out and he would go, boom! And he was in a tag team and a trio and a faction called the Bromance with Jesse Goddard and Robbie E. Robbie E is now Robert Stone of the Robert Stone brand, who manages Aaliyah and Mercedes Martinez, formerly managed Chelsea Green.
What happened to Chelsea Green?
I think she got injured, but I don't know. Yo, I have seen Joaquin Wilde, but he was a different name when he performed. I've seen him live, and it was at a show in Melrose, Massachusetts, and man, this dude is a freak athlete. He's athletic as hell, and I think once he gets the ability to showcase his skills and his talent, that he thrives in that NXT, because we both know there's gonna be call-ups soon. Soon NXT is gonna be left with, what do we do now? We got a couple of vets that have still lingered down here. We need a new crop of talent. And I'm dying, I don't know about you, but I'm dying for them to debut somebody, whether it be NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. Somebody's got to debut that hasn't been in the company yet. I need them to bring in a new fresh face. Karrion Kross was nice. He's gone for a while due to injury. I need something else. I need a replacement. When a few people get called up from NXT, I think Joaquin Wilde, and I hope this happens, branches away and breaks away from Legado del Fantasma and really shows everyone what he's made of. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think?
I mean, you've obviously seen him a lot more than I have. When I look at Legado de Fantasma, I see him as their weakest link. Maybe that's, that's just from look alone. That's not from skill in the ring.
You might be right. You might be right, but I could argue that Raul Mendoza. I could throw him into that same argument that he's the weak link if we really want to go there.
Mendoza's probably the weak link in the ring, but he looks more the part than...
I disagree. I think Joaquin Wilde carries himself like a superstar.
I don't know. That's like one of my biggest
He's got swag.
They're almost not believable.
Okay. Now, do you have a sleeper?
My sleeper pick's kind of a cheapie. I don't know if it necessarily falls into the category of sleeper pick, but I'm going to go with it anyway. I think that, as I said before, the injury to Karrion Kross was a massive, massive blow for NXT, for the future that they had planned out. And while I understand that this guy came in and immediately was able to get the NXT title, so it may not qualify him as a sleeper, I think that because we only saw the tip of the iceberg of what was going to be, because if you think about it, for them to give him the keys to the kingdom that quickly, what they must have had planned was fully surrounding him for the foreseeable future. I think that's kind of, again, I don't know if it qualifies as a sleeper, but that was landscape changing for both when he showed up and then when he got hurt.
I'll allow it.
I mean, I sat here for the whole time you were talking about Wild, and I'm trying to think of a guy in that realm. Some of these cruiserweight guys, like I forget who his name is, but the guy that fought with Swerve Scott against Phantasma. But I don't see anybody besides like a Cameron Grimes, but that's not a sleeper. You know what I mean? Like Reed, that's not a sleeper. Like he's not a sleeper. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he's gonna do anything.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
You know who might be the biggest sleeper?
Who's that?
Bad News Barrett. He might be the biggest sleeper.
What's sad is that he's commentating, but if he laced up his boots and got
that's
in the
what
ring,
I'm saying. He might be the biggest sleeper. He might be the biggest sleeper
than some of the guys they have on the show. All right.
You see when he got in the last 2 weeks ago, he's like, I want to tell you all something. We've got some bad news.
Oh, man, I must have missed it, but yeah.
He said it.
I have two last things I wanted to run by you.
Go ahead, sorry.
Two things
go.
Discussing the veterans of NXT. I have two. The rookies of NXT, I have two. And then potential call-ups and potential send-downs. I'm more invested in the call-ups and send-downs part.
Yeah, let's go right there.
Okay, so a couple people I think deserve, I don't know about if deserve is the word, but a couple people I could see the NXT brand, parting ways with them, getting called up to the main roster. I'll just rattle them off and you can agree, disagree, give me some of your own. Damian Priest, obviously we hammered that one home pretty hard. He either, it's that whole, should I stay or should I go?
Stay or should I go? You tell me up, and I'll tell you up or down.
Priest.
Tell me up, down, or whatever.
Priest goes up.
Now, are we saying this year or this month?
Let's just say this year, because there's not much left. I was thinking sooner than later. So soon.
Before WrestleMania or after?
Before.
All
These people need to go
I'm
up.
Say no. Even though I laid out that Survivor Series plan earlier, I'm gonna still say.
You're telling me.
You're telling me.
Yeah, that ain't real.
I guess that's just not
You're
real.
telling me that you would call Damian Priest up after WrestleMania? You'd wait that long?
The Monday night after, yeah.
That's a long ways away.
Sure is.
All right.
NXT will have bare cupboards.
Yep. Rhea Ripley up.
Rhea Ripley up, yeah.
Okay. I must have been on something when I made this list, but whatever.
Uh-oh.
Imperium up.
Imperium, no.
Wow. Okay.
For travel reasons.
I made this list before that, but even with the things
aside
later.
from travel reasons,
In a perfect
I don't
world.
think they're ready.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're ready in terms of fandom.
Yeah, I disagree. But anyway, that's why we have these podcasts. Can't agree on everything.
My thing is, I don't think anyone will care if they come up besides a few people, and then I'm worried that they're going to fade to obscurity and be the next AOP immediately.
I disagree again, but that's okay.
I
In
like
terms of longevity, you definitely have a valid argument and a good point. Now, I don't know how you feel about this one. It's either going to be, for me, one individual of the group or the whole group. So, Undisputed Era, I'm going to say down, but I could see them taking Roddy Strong and calling him up separately. I think he's ready. Of the group, he's been down there the longest.
I would agree with every bit of that. The only disagreement I have is that I don't think Roddy can stand on his own at this point.
Okay, that's fair.
Therefore, you have to take the whole thing, and I think it's time.
Man time!
I will go back to what I said earlier, that these guys could all turn into Ricochet real quick.
Hopefully not. Not originally on my list, but I'll add them now. I'm going to put them together just for fuck's sake. Gargano and Ciampa. They've been staples in NXT for 4 or 5 years, 4.5 years. They've teased us with a little bit of Ciampa Gargano call-ups. I think they stay, but I want to know what you think, and I don't know how much longer they can stay down in NXT without, is it like a permanent thing, or what do you do with them?
I think they're NXT for life, and they will never be up.
Sheesh. What a life.
I don't think they're going anywhere ever.
What a wonderful life.
Tommaso Ciampa's already come out and said that he would prefer it that way.
Yeah, well, you can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you need, but you try sometimes.
I mean, I think that it would be cool if they did, if Vince was smart enough, apparently, to not do a Survivor Series with all three and to be able to get matches. It was fun to see Ciampa take on the Miz. Like, that was sweet. But, and I'm all for matches like that against, Ciampa versus anybody. Kevin Owens, that would be absolutely fantastic. But do I think they're going to come up and be on the main roster full time? I don't think that's ever going to happen. And if it did, I think it would have already happened.
Okay, now, transitioning to some of the main roster people that I think need to be sent down.
Alright, let's hear it.
Okay, Bo Dallas, send him down. Send him down. Bo Dallas. That's if you keep him. I don't know what his...
I think Bo Dallas stays and he joins his brother and they work him in there somehow.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Otherwise, why even be here?
At that point, you bring Strowman back in and you do
recreate the family.
Yep, you got it.
This time it'd be even a stronger family if you have Dallas, the brother, and
Aleister Black too. I don't care at this point. Aleister Black could be in the Wyatt family. He's lost a lot of relevancy. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him.
I don't know if you can bring back the family. I'm fine with if you bring Bo
into what they have already
into the mix, but I don't know if the family could ever come back because the same way you could never redo the Shield.
The only reason I say that is because you have Strowman and Wyatt on the same brand, both being heels.
Yep.
Strowman can act like a face all he wants, but we both know ever since he had that Extreme Rules, House of Horror, whatever garbage they called that pay-per-view, ever since he had that match with The Fiend, he's flipped the script and went heel. I don't care what they...
If you noticed, everybody that comes in contact with The Fiend is flipped.
Yep.
Which I like. I like that.
Yeah. Next name, Mojo Rawley, down to NXT.
Even though he was still part of the company.
Down to NXT.
No arguments here. I don't even know if I'd send him down. I think I might just cut him outright.
This one pains me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Chad Gable, heck of a wrestler, needs to go back down to NXT.
Heck of a wrestler, terrible entertainer.
Yes.
I think the only chance in anyone's hell of him doing anything
Jason Jordan?
is unfortunately going back to NXT, re-tagging with Jason Jordan, and starting American Alpha back up.
Wouldn't that be something? And that would definitely get his career back on track. All right.
It's the only chance he's got.
Ricochet, down to NXT. Send him.
Ricochet, I don't know what he's going to do otherwise.
So you agree?
What's the guy going to do up there?
No clue.
He's a superhero, but he's the smallest guy there, and he has no one to fight against.
Gets his ass kicked all the time.
Yeah.
So you send him back down to NXT and you have him go after the championship.
The Lesnar match was the straw.
Nail in the coffin. Straw that broke the camel's back.
That was it.
Icing on the cake.
That was so stupid.
My list of send-downs is a lot bigger, I think, than was call-ups. But anyway, let's keep going. Dana Brooke, you send her back down. They won't do it. They will definitely not do it.
We don't need to talk about her.
They won't do it, but they should. All right. Ruby Riott, send her back down.
I don't see the point of sending these people back down because they're just taking away from NXT people.
You could even throw Liv Morgan into that discussion. I think that she has something that Ruby doesn't in terms of main roster stay. That's why I didn't include her originally. And not on my list right now, but now we're on the topic of Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan. They split up the Iconics, and I don't like either of them as singles competitors. You could send them back down to NXT for all I care.
Why did they break them up? They can't stand on their own.
You know why they broke them up? Just because they wanted to give us something different. And they decided splitting up the New Day, splitting up Lucha House Party, and splitting up the Iconics. That's what they did.
I really don't give a shit about the other ones.
Oh, and Heavy Machinery.
Again, I don't care.
Right.
Oh, how about they had Tucker come out, and it was his first match since he turned
in the
on
pants?
Otis,
yeah.
And he got his ass kicked? It's like, well, what the hell's going on? Like, why even bother that? We're not going to use this as a launching pad to further Tucker, then what are we doing?
Yeah, you could send him back down to NXT. You could send Otis back down to NXT for all I care.
Send them both back down. I mean,
anyway.
Again, like, every time you say send these people back down,
what for?
What do you think they're going to come up with down there?
What's the difference?
That's going to make it any better?
You get Triple H running the show instead of Vince.
By saying send them down, you're taking away from Cameron Grimes.
Yeah.
You're taking away from
It's
Dexter
almost
Lewis.
like that same problem that the main roster people have right around WrestleMania when they bring all the legends back. It's like the same clusterfuck.
You're just taking food off these other guys' tables, and they didn't do anything wrong. It's not their fault that Ricochet bombed when he got to the main roster.
Get in my belly.
Get in my
This one
belly.
ducks because this is a current champion that I want sent down. Nia Jax.
I don't know what the hell they're going to do with her or champions.
The reason I want Nia Jax down NXT is because she needs to learn how to work a match. because she doesn't sell anything. I understand that you're bigger than everyone in your division, but you gotta sell. You gotta, if someone hits you, you gotta know what to do when they hit you. You can't just stand there.
I think it's so funny right now how they have her and Baszler teamed up and they play Jax's music and they're both not like most girls.
They're not like most girls. And
they're
then,
both not like most girls.
Last on my list, Cedric Alexander. Pains me to say that one because you would think that his career would hit the ground running with the formation of the late addition to the Hurt Business. If anything, I'm going to go on the other side and say that he's suffered from teaming with the Hurt Business because every time he opens his mouth, I don't buy the tough guy act because he talks like this. Oh yeah, like what's the problem? And all the other guys, they look tough, they talk tough. Bobby Lashley, come on. MVP, okay, he's fucking huge. Benjamin, freak athlete. Then you got Cedric Alexander, Cedric the Entertainer, Ceddy, whatever you want to call him. He moves well, he's a great wrestler, but then you put him on a microphone and, hey guys, I'm here because I got kicked out of the chess club. Like, don't talk.
I like the move to go with them. I just worry that MVP is the reason that Cedric Alexander is going to be held down in that group because, again, like you said, he's so much smaller. He doesn't really fit the mold, but if they use him the right way, then it's okay. It's kind of like how Slapjack doesn't fit the mold with Retribution.
It's exactly like that.
But if you use him in the right way,
like
you don't try to make him the same. If you keep him as what he is, I don't know. I think that it's a good move for Cedric for his career because, like, when you start aligning yourself with Apollo Crews and Ricochet, then things aren't going to go well.
And Ali.
But, like, I don't know. I tell you what, Bobby Lashley better be giving MVP a nice Christmas present this year because he has saved his career.
Hashtag real talk.
Dude, he saved Bobby Lashley's career.
You know what? I think he will, JP. I think there will be a nice check.
Lashley is looking about as good as Lashley's ever looked in WWE right now.
Yeah, that Intercontinental U.S. match at Survivor Series,
What a joke of a match.
Sami Zayn better be counting his lucky stars that something happens to Lashley or he's able to...
Do you think they're going to let that match happen?
I do. I have a bad feeling about that match. I have a feeling that Sami Zayn is going to win with some sort of bullshit.
I don't even know if the match is going to happen, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, who knows?
I think they might pull some...
Retribution?
Remember the year that, like, it was supposed to be Styles versus Lesnar, I think, and they pulled it at the last second?
Yep.
I have a feeling that we're going to see a different Intercontinental Champion before the week's over. Before the pay-per-view, I mean.
All right. That was the NXT talk with my brother JP Phillips, the, what do I call you, the owner?
Sure.
The owner of TCT, Trading Cards and Things. Nice of you to allow me to use you as a sponsor of the Super Sports Bros podcast. I'll give you the last word, but I want to thank you for coming on the show and talking NXT with me. We should do this again.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for having me. I always like talking wrestling with you, and you had some well thought out questions, and the time that we spent on this little thing was went by very quickly because it was fun to be a part of, and like you said, hopefully we can do it again.
Sayonara, sucker. Appreciate the kind words. If you think this episode was good, I got more in store. I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, so I'm going to have you back on the show. I can talk wrestling with you till the cows come home, but I also talk about NBA, MLB, NFL, and UFC, so I think you've got some good, opinions on some of those topics as well. Great to have you on the show. Look forward to having you on soon. Real quick for the fans and listeners out there, what's the best podcast going right now?
Super Sports Bros. The best podcast out there right now. Super Sports Bros. Let's go.
You heard it live from the owner of TCT, my brother, JP. All right, JP, that's it. So,
all right.
we'll see you on the other side, but it's goodbye.